Hi, I'm Dan. I'm a full stack JavaScript software engineer at Hark. I got my first taste of coding when I was about 5. Me and my brother got a ZX Spectrum, and him being 5 years older than me at the time, he kind of showed me how to make it do daft little things like print my name out in red half a dozen times on the screen, or get it to beep. And also at the time, the computer magazines that we bought came with free games, but you actually had to type the pages of code into the computer, record it to tape before you could play them. Me only being 5 at the time, I mean, I'd type 10 lines out and get bored. I think my brother successfully got to the end of one once, but when he pressed play, it didn't do anything. So having spent a long time supporting existing software, I spent a lot of time helping people with bugs in other people's software. I spent a lot of time helping secure applications or networks, things like that. I think I kind of got to the point where I thought, I want to be the one building software, not just kind of supporting other people's software, if that kind of makes sense. Chances are, if you're wanting to learn to code, you already have in mind specific things that you want to build. So if you want to build iPhone apps, then it doesn't make sense to go away and learn Java, for example. And whatever you decide, you're not completely tied to it. When I first started to learn, I learned by building games with the Unity game engine and C#. The things that I built there, that kind of landed me my first job as a junior developer. But these days, I work on a daily basis with TypeScript and React. So you're definitely not tied into kind of whatever you decide up front. I think the important thing is to just get started. It comes back to the kinds of things that you want to build. Chances are that if you've identified a specific area that you want to go into, there's probably already going to be popular or preferred languages kind of within that area. So it's worth doing a little bit of research, but not too much, because it's more important that you just get started with something. One tip that I would have for any new coders is don't pick anything too new or kind of shiny or obscure, because then when you get stuck, you find the communities are a lot smaller and it can be a lot harder to get help as a beginner. There's so much out there, I think, today. There's YouTube, there's all manner of course sites like Udemy and things like that. I think the quality varies so much, and whatever you're wanting to get into, the collection of resources is going to be a little bit different. As a web developer, I could recommend the best place to start would be the Mozilla Developer Network, or MDN. It's often referred to as. That's kind of where I started, and I quickly identified that actually, nothing's free really. So, if you go after free resources, you can kind of waste a lot of time sifting through stuff of a low quality. So whilst some of the paid services, they're a bit of a monthly commitment, I think the time that they save you in the long run is well worth the investment. And you're investing in yourself, I guess, at the end of the day. I'm a big believer in just-in-time learning. By that I mean kind of focus on just the one thing that you need to learn to solve the problem that's in front of you right at that moment. I think something that certainly held me back initially as a beginner is this idea that you kind of need to know everything before you can get started, and that's simply not true. The best way to learn is by doing. So just learning what you need to just move that extra step forward is a really good way to approach it, I think. I spent around 10 years in what I'd call regular IT, kind of like IT support roles, IT security a bit towards the end. I think I kind of fell into that career just because I was good with computers, really, no other reason. For some reason or other, when I was at school, kind of leaving to go to college, I kind of ruled out software development as a career. I think I was listening too much to kind of a lot of people around me saying, oh no, it's too hard, you need to be a genius in maths or whatever. So I think for whatever reason I decided it wasn't for me. But around about 3 years ago, I decided, no, actually, that's what I always wanted to do. It's never too late to change. And here I am 3 years later working as a professional software developer. So definitely never too late. When I stopped caring about making mistakes, that freed me to kind of break stuff and experiment. And I think that's when you really build your confidence as a developer, when you're learning from your mistakes and your failures. I think one of the big problems with really well-produced online courses is that they give beginners this false impression that you kind of sit down at your computer and crank out a pristine application, and that's simply not how it works in real life. What you don't see is the hours they've spent going through that same pain of kind of experimenting, moving things around. So I think that's an important thing to always keep in mind. Curiosity and resilience are really important traits to have as a programmer. You need that natural curiosity to pull you along and want to understand problems quite deeply, and just to kind of constantly expand your knowledge, because that will be required of you as a programmer. And I think resilience, because you really just need to get comfortable with failure as a programmer. A lot of programming is trying out things, finding that they don't work, and kind of coming at them from different angles. But in that process, you'll fail a number of times. So I think you do need to be quite resilient to be a successful programmer. What I really love about building software at Hark is that sense that you're building software together as a team. Programming is a necessarily solitary activity a lot of the time. So I think having a team like at Hark, where you spend a lot of time discussing kind of like the big picture, what it is you're all there working towards and working together to build, I think that's something that I've not had in previous jobs.